Welcome! Yes, welcome indeed to the second episode of my mammoth year-end review. 4 videos, this is the second video, this is Q2. So we're going to be doing April, May and June. And some of the observant among you will probably have noticed that I'm sporting a different t-shirt every episode, and this one is Street Fighter 2, and it's the classic Street Fighter 2. A weird thing about this is that I picked it up in Pull and Bear. I didn't order it online, nothing. That's why it's so massive, and couldn't resist buying it. And I'll be wearing a different t-shirt every episode, so you guys can all look forward to that. And I've made a few adjustments. This table is like a fucking sounding board, so if all the geeky stuff I'm going to show you I've got ready on the couch over here, and you're probably thinking, why is he even bother showing us this stuff? I have to show someone. None of my mates give a shit about this stuff, so I have to show someone. And quick check of the old patch cam. Patch cam is good to go. Let's do this stuff. So first in is Owlboy. What a lovely little game, and you probably are well aware of my addiction to classic games or 8-bit games, or games that look like they're older but are made newer, all that sort of weird stuff. Basically the retro industry, and Owlboy is a bit of a success story. It was quite big on the PC before it came over to console, and it's actually been put onto the Switch. It's doing so well that the critics love it for good reason. Look at it. I mean, look at those lovely pixel art and some of those beautiful colours. The game itself is pretty amazing. It's huge. It's got a lot of unlocks. Funny bit of footage here actually. I managed to break it. I don't know how I did this, but I managed to get into the clipping of the game. That's a bit weird. I don't actually normally see that much in indie games, to be honest. They're normally quite tight with their QA, but I got stuck there, had to restart it. But not to worry. Owlboy was chronologically first for the month of April. I think my dates are a little bit sketchy for these last 3 months, so forgive me. But I love it. Its aesthetic is amazing. It does this really cool thing of a transition with day and night. When you're playing the game, and it gives all these new sort of palettes to the colours, and you can see what I mean. There was like a dawn, there was a dusk, there was all this sort of stuff happening, and absolutely amazing to still have really awesome retro style games like this come out. And this one featured on my top platform games list that I'll put a link to in the description. And one of the things I really enjoyed with it was the boss fights, and it's the game's mechanics around you picking up like a non-player character, and that non-player character will then have specials and that are in relation to what they're good at. This guy's got like a pea shooter thing. There's loads, so it's got this interchangeable thing with your weapon, in regards to who you've actually picked up at that particular time. And it's got really sort of heartwarming story, an amazing soundtrack. Owlboy was really a beautiful success story from a great indie developer. They've got put on all kinds of platforms, so amazing. So now we're going to go a bit weeaboo, and if you don't know what the word weeaboo means, you should look up a guy called Filthy Frank, who is an amazing YouTuber, introduced to me by my daughter, funnily enough, and he talks about he just talks about crazy white guys who are into like Japanese culture, like too much, and into anime like too much. But I don't think I fall into that category, honestly. I don't think I do. I hope I don't. But this is Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle. And again, this is another game that's launched on multiple platforms, and as you probably know, I'm a big fan of what I call Flare Fighters. I have done a video on Flare Fighters, and I'll again put the link in the description for that. And actually, I want to dig out, because this game is quite confusing. So this game is the newest. Cross Tag Battle is the newest, and then there's a slightly older version which is called the Chrono Phantasm Extend, I mean, these titles are just like almost novel length, but this one doesn't have the features that what we're looking at does. What I'm talking about is the Persona 5 characters and all the sort of cool unlocks that you get with the skins and characters, and just the gameplay style as well. So this has got a 2-player character switch out, and what, if you saw the previous video, you'll probably know about Dragon Ball Z and how you can have multiple characters, up to 3. That's one of the sort of Flare Fighter traits. But with this one you only have 2, and the switch button is on, it's not a shoulder button, it's actually a circle or X, and this just makes it a bit more reachable. It makes it a bit more feasible as a mechanic. I can't quite explain it. What I want to touch on is one of the things that pulls me to these games is the hand-drawn animations, and I'm an artist myself, and I love the way every frame has been drawn and animated. I think you don't see that in games like Mortal Kombat or anything else from the West, shall we say. So it's cool. This game is seriously cool, and if you're remotely interested in the genre, stuff like Guilty Gear, which is here, Guilty Gear is what I know you can't see this shit, and I'm going to put it on bigger screen when I'm really geeking out so that you can see the stuff. But Guilty Gear is Guilty Gear is one of the best on the market, but this one was really strong, and available on Switch, available on a few platforms. It's just mental. Just the stuff you do is absolutely crazy. It's very accessible for a game of that genre. So now it's time for Laser League. Interestingly enough, this game featured on my couch co-op videos, and it was a really it was a big surprise for me. It was free for the month, let's get that out of the way, and so I went to it immediately, and I think that the game actually features up to 8 players. I'm going to get this checked out, but I could add, so you can add AI, and it's obviously a 4-player couch co-op game, so massive points scored for that, but I think you may be able to add another 4 human players. I'm going to get that verified. I don't know if you can even sign in 8 pads to these things. I don't know, but if you can, holy crap, that's awesome. It looks like a sports game, but it's not. So there's no goals, i.e. there's no ball, you don't get anything in an objective. But what you're trying to do is fuck up the other team for them to get hit by the opposite colour windmills, and it's clever because you have a number of different classes. They can stun, they can knock back, they can do all kinds of stuff, and it looks simple from the casual observer. It doesn't look like a game that's very interesting at all. But once you start playing it and getting into it and realising how layered it is with its competitiveness and how you can paper, scissors, rock with the different classes that you choose, it's a very deep game. It was really, really awesome to get this new for the year and free and couch co-op. So next up we've got a game from Atlas, which is Dragon's Crown, and Dragon's Crown's got a bit of a backstory with me. Funny story actually, that I got it delivered from an online retailer, and when it turned up, I was like, whoa, I paid standard cost for this. When it turned up, I was like, wow, this weighs a ton. And I was like, what's this? Who's this from? Cypress Hill? Sure, you get that joke. But it's a limited edition, and I'm going to show you in a second. I just want to talk about its art style. I mean, look at those art styles. The game has got some questionable sort of characterizations, let's say that, but it's very interesting because on the couch co-op front, we're dealing with, because this is on the PlayStation 4, it's up to 4-player couch co-op. 4-player couch co-op. It boasted online couch co-op previously, and that brings me on to one of my little sort of geek out sessions. And so I own a Vita. I love my Vita. I love it to bits, and I brought one quite late. Nick, my mate, bought one quite late as well, and I had Dragon's Crown on this, and funnily enough, I bought it from a shop in Dubai. This is weird, and I'll do the big screen. You'll see that it's bleached, it's sun bleached. So this nutter in the shop, he keeps all of his rare Vita games in full sun. You're obviously not aware of the weather out here, and it's bleached. The cover's bleached. I didn't get a discount. I should have got a discount for it. But what I'll probably do is, I don't know, you can order, can't you, other covers. But anyway, Google this game, because it's not the Vita version. I wanted to just snap that up because it's quite a renowned game in the industry. It's from Vanillaware. They do Persona 5. They did Odin Sphere, which is on the Vita. Odin Sphere is so amazing, but it's not a multiplayer. It's not a couch co-op multiplayer game. So it was really good to have an awesome Dragon's Crown game that was on the PlayStation 4, which took advantage of HD, and it also took advantage of HDR, and it also took advantage of the PlayStation Pro's capabilities. I mean, look at some of this amazing sort of art style and footage, and the limited, well, the hard copy has a what are they called? I don't know what they're called. They're called cards. They're called skill cards that were in it, and don't smell like Cabbage Patch Kids, annoyingly, I know, but yeah, it was mad. So I got a really cool limited edition, lovely steel box, paid the normal price for it, shat myself, didn't want to talk about it on the video until I actually had it in the house for a couple of days, in case they rang me up and said, by the way, we're missing a limited edition Dragon's Crown. But that's beautiful, that's a piece of beauty.
There seem to be more nests similar to this one spread throughout the area. You exit the area, taking care to avoid drawing the attention of any other harpies.
So we spoke about it yesterday, and it's Deathwing by from the Warhammer 40k universe, and this game is very interesting. I owned it on PC, and what happened with the PC version was that they released the base model of the game, and then they released this sort of special edition. They released this enhanced edition. They released it out on the PC, and then they coincided that with the release of the game on console. So I was really interested to get it on console, because I wanted to see it. It's quite a performance-heavy game on the PC. As you can see, there's a lot of moving parts to this game. It's quite lavish with its visuals, which I'm a big fan of. You know, this universe needs lavishness. It needed a few fixes. You might remember I put it on one of my best shotgun videos, and I put it on one of my best sci-fi game videos, because I wanted to mention it, and I wanted to give it time. There seems to be a running theme with a lot of Warhammer games, is that they rush them out and they don't fix them up properly. This one had lag. It had some frame rate issues, and it sort of just generally had performance issues. But a huge patch for it when I put it back in for this video, and it's also an online multiplayer game, and this is a funny one, because I really miss Left 4 Dead, like, stupidly. I do have an Xbox 360, but if I fired that up, I wouldn't find anyone to actually play the game with me. And I think this, if you've got if there's three of you, I think, four maybe, this is really inducing of those emotions that come with Left 4 Dead. You know, it's a frightening game. It's really good to sort of traverse the corridors, and they've done the Space Hulk very well. I was a big fan of the board game, holy shit, and the whole Gene Stealer lore and the whole Terminator thing was really cool. So I wanted to include this, wanted to talk about it, because it needs to be mentioned. Okay, so we're swinging back to couch co-op again. It was quite a good 3 months for couch co-op. Unravel 2 came out. Unravel 2 is from Electronic Arts, don't be put off, because this is the studio within a studio. It's quite interesting, but basically they don't outsource the development of some of their smaller games, but they sort of had this studio under their umbrella, and they allowed them quite a lot of freedom on creativity, and man, it really shows. I love the idea. Little Big Planet does it quite well, almost sort of Borrower's style, small miniature character or protagonist in a sort of larger world, and it really carries that over pretty well. One of the things, so I played this game about, I don't know, 3-4 months ago, and then I fired it up tonight to get some footage, because I don't keep my footage, and man, look how special I am when it comes to working out the problems on this game. So it's called Yarny, there's 2 of you, it's couch co-op obviously, but when you have single player on, you can sort of split the character up or join them with triangle buttons. Quite an interesting control mechanic, but I just couldn't fathom this damn puzzle, and I'm just like, sod him, leave him. You can't leave him, he's your mate. You're supposed to be playing the game with this other guy who's NPC or not controlled by you until you flip the controller. But yeah, I struggle with the puzzles, to be honest with you, but it's really great to have a brand new couch co-op game that looks this good. I wanted to include Rush actually on video because we're coming up to now. I think we are in June. We are in June. We've done Laser. Yeah, we're in June. So we're coming up to. We're kind of halfway through this, and on Rush is really interesting. As you know, I'm a big Burnout fan, and as you probably saw or may have seen, I did a December free games thing, and Rush is free for December. Very interesting because it's a full-blown, massively highly priced game, and we got it for free for this month. If you're watching this video in December of 2018, Jesus, go and download it, because you know it's a game that does do what it's supposed to. It's just not worth $60, but that came out this year as well. So it's the kazoo wielding Sword of Ditto. The Sword of Ditto, or the Swords of Ditto rather, is an incredibly intelligent game, and we're going back to, we had a good month for couch co-op this time in the year. The Swords of Ditto not only has a great Adventure Time aesthetic to it, but it's also a roguelike that exists in this really beautifully drawn universe, and it's a little bit like, I don't know, if you can imagine a top-down Dark Souls, that's a bit of a stretch, but you do have a roll button, and you do have a sort of melee controls, but what it falls back on is it's action RPG elements, and so you have all these different weapons that you unlock. It has this sticker system where you go to a shop after doing a certain area of the game, and you purchase these stickers that give you massive perks, like ridiculously game-changing perks, like an unlimited roll or like a special move on your melee attack. And I remember hearing about it, excuse me, downloaded it because I knew it was a couch co-op game, and then played a little bit of the one player to get my head around how it would work before I got someone in to play it with me. I kind of always do that, and I was just so sucked in. I was so sucked into it. I completely loved it. It's adorable, and it's got this sort of story that it doesn't really reveal to you properly. So you're walking around, you're talking to these non-player characters, and you have to sort of unravel it. It's like it's all set up in a single day, and it's all to do with a bit like Ocarina, and you have to sort of get stuff done before this sort of apocalypse kicks in. So really awesome. Talking of really awesome, and I haven't forgotten, and of course we had one of the best PlayStation 4 games of all time come out in this quarter, and it's of course God of War, the new God of War, and bloody hell, I mean, it probably knocked you all back like it knocked me back. It was an emotional one, even seeing Kratos, you know, recreated with such amazing form. It brings me back to the Monster Hunter analogy, where they've actually put a game that was on previous generation systems and had, you know, a different aesthetic, and just really giving it that injection that the series needed. I wanted to point out one of the amazing elements to the game that wasn't really present before in the series. I mean, I was a huge fan of God of War 3. I mean, I was there for God of War 2 on the PlayStation 2. That came out so late in the PlayStation 2's life cycle. It's one of the last games to be released on that system, I think, and it was amazing. And I was there for God of War 1, and I was like, everyone needs to play God of War 1. I remember when it came out. But I love these action RPG elements that they've rostered in. They've kept up to date with everything. You know, they've kept everything relevant. And of course, the relationship between you and your son, it's groundbreaking. It deservedly got all those awards because it was just something that hadn't been, you just would never think a series like the God of War series could have so much substance and give you so much depth with character. And it just goes to show that the studio involved really know what they're doing, and really sort of stepped up to the plate, you know, with coming up with something new, keeping it the same, but at the same time injecting that current gen spice into there. That brings me on to my copy of the game, which is again, you know, another geek out. Gonna be 40 soon. I got the limited edition with the art book, awesome, and that's the Nordic theme for me, and the concept art for the enemies, and the stuff that you get in this book is totally amazing, and the environments and the locations as well. But I love the idea of the lore. I love how they've set it up, you know, really well. So it was just such a great thing to have a God of War game that just smashed into the scene and took all of the awards this year. It's something I'm considering for the final video, for the final announcement of my top 3. And again, I got a lovely, away from the microphone, metal case version of the game, and do not regret that for a minute, paying that extra money for a beautiful art book, a beautiful metal case with these really cool symbols. You know, it's nice and subtle. I love how they've done it, the whole thing with the marketing on the game. So yeah, guys, that is the end of Q2. All right, so I'm going to keep bashing these videos out. Look how shattered I look, but I'll see you for Q3. And see you down there. Hopefully I'll keep the quality coming, and thank you. Take care.
We did it.